Oh, wait, it didn't even go on.
No.
Laptop, I got invites to draw up.
All right. We're live. We're live.
It's not on me. It says a new black.
Oops.
I look so tanned. I was only in Manchester. Morning, people. It is Tuesday, the 13th of August. Welcome to TDA, the day after. Your favourite news platform and the home of popular culture as defined by the culture. And as always, you have amazing hosts. We'll let you know who we are.
It's your boy, Six Plus of Pure Temptation. Big Marks from the east side of the bridge. What's good, people?
As always, your favourite shade queen, my own royalty.
They call me E-Man, the pro-black activist, TDA producer and news analyst, melanin jam-packed.
That's right, man. And Brent is here too, man. Brent looks so nice today. No, you don't look nice usually.
Brent's got a date.
I was going to say that.
No,
100%.
don't do that.
Why is your girl going to be upset?
The women are basically calling themselves my girls.
Little whore?
100%.
Got the concubines. So nice. Why don't we do that anymore?
I have
Concubines.
concubines. Mark has
well, you
concubines.
still have
Speak for,
concubines.
speak for yourself, baby.
There's hella concubines.
Can you imagine? Just say hello.
I don't think
Never
he
going to
has.
beat these charges. That's the
You're
thing.
never. But I like it though because you don't even try to beat them. There's no point.
That's what it is, man.
You just gotta sometimes you just gotta let things just stay.
You
where
got to
they're
love
gonna
me
be.
for me, man.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
What's that way?
Yeah, you repent. You repent of your trespasses. But no, Brent looks nice. If you bump into Brent today, ask for a selfie. Because it looks great.
Thank you. I thought you were going to throw in, after you said pro-black activist, I thought you were going to say South African antagonist.
That what the street's saying.
The YouTube streets are cooking him.
Really?
Wait,
It's
sorry,
so
what?
funny.
I missed
Basically,
that
someone
bit.
did
Say
a
it
bird
again?
call.
He's been called an interloper.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds serious. Interlope? What?
To be honest, I wasn't realizing what was happening yesterday when you were going back and forth, because you spent a lot of
know.
time challenging what he was saying. And when it is checked back, you were on the money. You don't get enough praise.
What was that again?
Hey, look at that.
You know how I deal with stuff. Once I walk leave this room, it just...
Nah, there's better comments.
Wait, what was it about again? Quickly, sorry.
About Miss Nigeria, sorry, oh my gosh, Miss South Africa
Nah.
being Nigerian, potentially.
Ah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I was on the money, Brent.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, honey.
On the money.
They're on the comments and they're fine within the comments.
Wait, what are the comments saying?
Baby, I'm not reading all of this out. It's like hella comments, but they're just going in. Well, it had to be you. So, yeah.
I should have known something was afoot.
Was
yesterday,
afoot.
because I saw the views on the on the thing. And
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
I just thought, they'll be all right. But what I clocked, someone did a bird call. Someone did a bird call on Twitter. You know when we tweeted live link and the guy was like, we've made it onto UK podcasts. So I think that might have been, because remember the guy that called us, big up him, there was people criticising him in the comments, other South Africans criticising him. So, are we talking about South Africa again today?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that.
Oh, I hope you let them know. You let your friends know. They're gonna cook your ass. They're gonna heat it up. But I hope you guys are doing well in the comments there. Pick up every single person that watches the show. While you're here, like the video. And I'm just gonna say to the South Africans who might be watching, don't be silly disliking videos just because you don't like one person's views. Do you get me? Like, don't ruin the views of each individual is the views of them. It doesn't represent the entire platform.
was it disliking the video?
No, the thing is, they were moving better than Emmanuel.
In terms
They,
of
they were justified to dislike the video, But there was a rise in likes.
Aw.
So even though they were coming and basically just pointing their focus and
On him,
frustration
yeah.
at him, they were still saying, "No,
You know what? I
it's
like what
black."
they're doing. Though.
You
Good.
understand?
Yeah, I rate them for what they're doing.
At least they're not hating.
So the people in the comments are South Africans.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah, better than man.
Actual South Africans.
Like real
Like,
ones.
like
On the ground.
boots on ground, exactly.
This is what I love about this
but
show.
to be fair,
So
we
it's
don't know
telling
how
you to
they
shut your goddamn mouth, talk about things you don't know. Basically.
Basically. So you mind your Jamaican business, I mind my Nigerian business, you mind your Trinidadian business.
One person said 250 million people in Nigeria. How is that reflected in the Olympic gold? Bronze, silver.
Excuse me.
Fair point.
What did South Africa get in the Olympics?
Fair point.
What did South Africa get in the Olympics?
Can you imagine?
Don't do that. That we shall not do.
But do you know what they?
Because I could be paid.
Do you know what they
I have
got?
something I could really say that would trigger them that would shut down the entire production today.
No, let's focus on Emmanuel. Don't
Let's
get drawn
not.
in. Don't get drawn in. This is Emmanuel show.
Would you say what did who get? South
Global
Africans? Nothing.
orphans.
Who? Nigerians.
One person said, "I love how the colored guy spoke."
Who's the kind of guy?
Don't do that.
Where's your ha now? You're a global orphan like us.
don't do that, Brent.
Colored.
They say we all orphans, bitch. Oh my god, they thought you're one of them. Oh my god, they probably think they think you're one of them.
Probably.
Just lost the accent.
You know? It's nice.
Yeah, I love that they came out for you, man. Because everything that they said was on point. Valid points were made.
Valid points, man.
And I'm thinking that's exactly what you were basically pushing to him. What Emmanuel is suggesting shouldn't happen. I mean, the same should be said of us in this country. No citizenship. We had a whole discussion.
Yeah.
But should we see ourselves as English? This, that, and next, right? So, love it,
We're
man.
going to get into it in the topic of the day so that we can see once and for all who's correct. And then, yeah, man.
What does the global orphan mean?
Was that to Nigerians?
I think they're talking to all
Who
of
was
us.
that to?
I think they're calling all of us global orphans.
Global is, global makes it sound nice though.
Listening to global orphans crying over South Africa.
Oh, because we're not where where our people are from.
Displaced in that.
But I'm not displaced. I was placed in my right place in April. I'm not displaced.
Global orphans.
Global orphans goes hard. I can't even lie. That ain't no crumbs. Like I like
real.
that. But in what world can I call someone a global orphan and not get slapped? So
Insane.
it's really like a YouTube comment kind of thing. But I can't lie. That's very creative.
What do you mean black hate is real? Was we hating on black people?
Emmanuel was.
I
No,
definitely wasn't.
But that's why they're coloured, not black.
That's to the mixed ones.
Oh, sorry. It's too much for me to. I thought any black person in South Africa was black.
Nah,
So it was
the
coloured.
mix. Nah, the mix. So you got
Okay,
blacks,
so they
you got
really
coloureds.
defined it. Because you know white people used to call all of us coloured.
Yeah,
Black mixtures where you're coloured. So over there, it's only if you're mixed race is coloured.
yeah. So this is why the Americans had a problem with Tyler calling himself coloured.
Coloured.
It's not just mixed race.
Well,
it's high coloured.
yeah,
It's
it's
kind of like
different.
red skin.
Is what?
Like red skin in Trinidad. It's not just mixed race.
Who's red
And
skin?
a lot of
then?
them aren't
like
mixed
yellow
race.
skin.
It's like
Like me.
Asian. They're like Asian and black.
Asian and black.
Yeah, there's like mixed the Indian.
That's coolie.
and
I don't know what
black.
you're talking about.
The colours back out in South Africa.
I don't know what you're talking
We're
about.
about to get cooked by Indians too. Ciao. How are you guys doing?
That's impossible.
That's what you think.
International cooking. You know.
Listen, can you imagine from all angles? Ooh, fighting for your life. From every tribe. But you guys all right there?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, all right, good. Love that.
Good, man.
Let's get into our show, please, then.
All right, people. My first headline, trigger warning on this one, man. Sad news. Police in the UK said that they have arrested a man after a stabbing in London's Leicester Square that left an 11-year-old girl
Sicko.
needing hospital treatment and a 34-year-old woman with minor injuries. The police said that the incident on Monday in central London Square, a popular area for tourists, was not being treated as terror-related.
Ain't the white man rioting over this then, no? Don't they want to get their Britain back?
Maybe they chose... Let me stop.
Because it was a white man that done the stabbing, innit?
Do you know what it is?
Yeah,
The misinformation
It was.
is...
It
The
was a white man
misinformation
that
is
done the
crazy because, again, they started a rumor as if we didn't learn from last week. Or as if they didn't learn from last week. Talking about it's a Polish guy. And they were like, "There's no one said where this man is from. Like, do you get me? Like, why are you doing this?"
Sad, man.
And even so now all of a sudden nationality matters about race.
All of a sudden.
We said white. I don't care
Nah,
what
but-
country he's from. You
Nah.
start taking the
He said there's a
piss.
distinction, love. He said not all whites is all white.
Sad. But yes, the stabbing occurred as the UK is on the edge after violence over the past week saw crowds spouting anti-immigrant and Islamophobic slogans and clashing with police. The disturbances have been fueled by far-right activists. The square where Monday's attack took place and the surrounding area have an estimated 2.5 million visitors every week and are home to shops, theatres, cinemas and restaurants. The injuries of the 11-year-old victim were not life-threatening, this is what the police said, adding that she was being treated in hospital. They also went on to say that a 32-year-old man was swiftly arrested and there were no outstanding suspects. Next headline, and more than 700 migrants crossed the channel on the day 2 people died attempting a journey. It's the highest number of daily crossings since Sir Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. The Home Office recorded 703 people arriving in the UK on Sunday in 11 boats, suggesting an average of 64 people per boat. It comes as 2 people died in French waters while trying to cross the channel, with others on board the boat understood to have been rescued and taken back to France. French authorities are said to be leading the investigation into the deaths. And our last headline, trigger warning on this one as well. And 2 12-year-old boys have become the youngest to be convicted following recent disorder in the UK. One boy who cannot be named for legal reasons was caught on CCTV throwing an object at police during unrest in Southport. He admitted violent disorder at Liverpool Youth Court. The other 12-year-old threw a missile at a police van in Manchester. He admitted 2 charges of violent disorder at the city's magistrates' court. The 2 boys were among dozens of people convicted on Monday following disorder that began with 3 young girls being killed in a knife attack in Southport. As of Monday, so yesterday, 975 people have been arrested, 546 people have been charged. And that's it for our headlines.
They need to start laming people, man. I don't care what their age is at this point. Because if he's going to be doing that, he's a little racist.
Do we know the number of convictions they got though? The charges and that, but like not custodial sentences.
No. Unless I look into it a bit more. No. But yeah, that's it for our headlines.
All right, let's get into our What You Saying topic of the day.
All right, people. So, wait, turn my mic up.
Round
Turn
one,
it a bit.
fight.
I said turn my mic up. He's
Yeah,
moving like he's
Hurry up.
he's moving like he's a rap battle.
Turn me up real quick.
About to get into it. I said, Brent, turn me up.
Turn me up real quick.
All right. So,
1 second. Are you using any of this to defend your stance?
I think what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Have you just met this man? Have you just met him? Of course. He's here. We're here again for him to double down.
Thank you.
It's not a compliment.
All right. Basically, yeah. The question is, South Africa. Is South Africa a blueprint for peace and unity, or does the struggle still continue? I'm asking that question because one of the comments here that I read.
Did you read all of them?
What? Of course not.
Wait. I don't get it. I don't get what you do, right?
If you haven't got the time.
You're not informed then.
On what?
You haven't got the latest update.
I mean, you can relate
So
to
you
it,
don't
right?
know what their actual concerns were about
No,
what they decided to listen to. And now
mean-
you're going to shoot back?
Yes.
Are you shooting blindly? This is why they're getting
bonkers,
cooked.
man. This is bonkers.
You're basically shooting like this. Don't even know who you're.
The ammunition is enough to get everybody
Okay.
there. No, but the thing is, yeah, like,
You're supposed to be the great Pan-Africanist on this show.
what does that mean? So
Yes,
you want me to read 130 comments?
Be informed. That's what they
I'm
were telling you in the
informed.
first place. You
I'm
weren't informed.
informed. I
Their main
can't be
concern was that you
informed.
weren't informed.
Do you
No,
know what's
but I
so
can't be
funny? He's
involved in
literally
nonsense.
doing a case in point for them.
It's
They're
crazy.
going to come back under this video today and be like, see what we
You
said.
see, you didn't want to give these comments any credence. That's why you didn't read them. Is that what it is?
You lot are crazy. You lot are just crazy.
Yeah, we're the crazy ones.
Yes.
There was no comments about what we did. It was all about you, all 100 plus of them.
They even
because
said the,
that's
they even
because
said the
people-
We're
colour
the crazy
guy.
ones.
They even said the colour guy was
Send me up the
cool.
colours guy. Dude.
All I was gonna say is, yeah. First, in fact, let's first talk about the whole situation with the Nigerian girl, yeah. Because I think that was some of the biggest comments. And this is why I said to Brent, because Brent sent me a link yesterday, and I said, and I want Brent to play it in a minute. I agree with what this woman's saying. The issue is not an issue of nationality, because I'm pretty sure we said this the other day as well. And this is why I posed the question to us: are we kind of adding to the problem of what's going on in the UK by not identifying strongly with being English? You know what I'm saying? Same thing back home in South Africa. If via nationality, the rules of what every nation goes by, the Nigerian girl, who's half Nigerian and half Mozambique, if she's not South African, there's no link there, then 100% it makes sense that she shouldn't be Miss South Africa. And it should go to the white one because you see her as South African. This is like, obvious, it's basic, right?
Oh, here we
All
go.
right then.
Here
But
we
what I
go.
am saying is, after all the dust settles and we go through the legal channels and you stand back and say, you know what, we sort this out, and you look to the left and you say, I'm South African, and you see the person to your left who's white, European, right, and they say they're just as much South African as you, and you look over there, your cousin who's Nigerian and from Mozambique, and say you are not here, to me something just doesn't seem right. That's what I'm basically saying.
Yeah, but
Good
one
morning.
is even though there's a black person, the Nigerian and the Mozambique person is clearly not
South
South
Africa.
Africa.
Yeah, 100%. That's this is what I'm saying. This is why I said.
Turn us down, whoever that is as well, please.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Who are we speaking to, please?
You're speaking to Lindo. I'm from Joburg, South Africa.
Yeah.
Morning, Linda. How are you?
Good thank you.
Wonderful. What's up? What's on your mind today?
Like, I wanted to talk basically about the Chidima Tsega. That is that us South Africans rejected her because she's just black and we hate ourselves. I want to make you guys. I think you guys are missing something. If you check the history of South Africa, white people like have been here like for like maybe probably around 300 years. And if you check the history, South African history has been filled with wars and wars and wars and wars, to the point where even white people wanted to enslave black South Africans to work on sugar canes, especially those using KZN, but they refused to be slaves. So they had to fetch other slaves from India so they can come and work in the plantations in KZN. So if now we turn and say, oh no, these white people and these Indians are not South African, do you think they will agree and say, oh, okay, it's fine, we'll just go to India? No, all they know is South Africa. They've been here for like centuries. Yeah. So now with Chitima is the problem is South Africa is like more focused on culture, not just race. In order to be like South African, like represent South Africa, first of all, the first question is, which culture do you represent? Where do you fall under? Because white people in South Africa have their own thing, which is the Boers and Afrikaners. Indians in Durban, they have their own thing. But black South Africans all over South Africa, and or whatever, but within South Africa. But now the problem is Chitima, the way she portrayed herself, she was like more inclined to her Nigerian heritage, which is not a bad thing. I'm not against that. But you can't represent that and say that's South African. If you are going to represent anything that's South African, if you are white, you're going to represent the Boers. If you are Indian, you're going to represent the Indians. But South African blacks, we already have blacks in South Africa. If you're going to represent us, at least represent one of the cultures in South Africa. So I think that's the issue. Mm-hmm. But this white, so remember yesterday we were talking about how we view whites. At least I have been privileged enough to experience both worlds. I've lived in the township before, and I'm now living in the suburbs. White people, there's nothing special about white people in South Africa. We see them every day. There's nothing special about them. They're human. So we can't just now say, no, because of what your ancestors did, we want you out of the country. It's totally unfair, according to my point of view.
What's your name again? Lindo?
It's Lindo, yes.
Thank you very much for calling. Yeah, I appreciate it. What I want to say is, with regards to Chidima, I fully understand what you're saying, right? Nationality, fully understand it. The South African, the white lady, I believe her name's Mia. She's got a passport. She's
Okay.
a descendant of Europeans who've been there for 300 years, like you said. They are part of South Africa, part of the fabric of the
Yes.
culture. I fully understand.
Mhm.
The problem is, I guess, for somebody like me, I just
Okay.
find it a bit difficult, right, to reconcile
Okay.
the idea that somebody who's only in my
Okay.
country, yeah,
Okay.
because they pillaged the land,
Yeah.
they killed people,
Mhm.
they put the people,
Yes.
indigenous people, under apartheid system, right, and only
Okay, I can
ended
explain that
apartheid.
to you. It's much more complex than you think.
Okay.
You know, let me explain something for you. I've heard like Nigerians say, white people in South Africa own 80% of the land. I live in a suburb, and in a suburb, like there are apartments, and I've seen white homeless people, and there are also white people who live with their parents. Are you telling me all of those people own land? I don't think that's true. The only people who own land is a few powerful white people, both in South Africa, very powerful people, the elites of South Africa, few white people, and the white people from the West, especially in the UK, America. Those are the people. And should we send white people away? You know what's going to happen in South Africa. You can search about what happened in Zimbabwe when they send white people away.
Yeah.
If we send white people away now, the same thing will happen to South Africa, and we must forget about South Africa. I mean, like Africa prospering again.
I fully get
So
what
that's the reality. If we send white, it's going to affect us big time. And they will send black people from America and the UK to come deal with us here in Africa.
Don't get me wrong, I fully get what you're saying, right? And I understand that would be the fear of many South Africans if they were to try and do that, right? And under no circumstances am I trying to say that, you know, black people should just take up arms and get rid of all white people in South Africa. I'm not saying that at all. I understand that South Africa today in
Which we can,
2024.
but I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, right? I'm not under any circumstances trying to say that that's what should be done. I'm just saying, as somebody who loves Africa, right? Black Africa, I find it hard to reconcile the idea that the person who came there with the sole intention of taking everything I own is telling me that they are just like me. And I'll give you another way to parallel this so that you can maybe...
Yeah, they're not. Bro.
Say that again?
I don't think they are like us, though. I to be honest, there's a difference between them.
Exactly. So even you yourself, you're saying there's a difference. But according to, I guess, the international view of nationality, there is no difference. You are the same. You right now talking to me are no more South African than Mia. Am I correct? Right?
Yeah, true.
And this is what I'm trying to say to you. Inside of me, I just have a problem with it. It just doesn't feel right. And let me give another example to parallel what I'm trying to say. South Africa, for example, they took Israel to the ICJ, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because they have an issue with what's going on in Israel. Palestinians right now in Gaza, right? They have an issue. They're saying it's illegal settlements there. They're also saying, as of October 8th, was it 8th? 7th, right? Pardon me. It's genocide. Plus the Palestinians are living in an open prison apartheid regime. This is what they're saying. I'm simply saying,
yes,
South Africa have an issue with that. That same thing we're seeing today in Israel happened in South Africa.
Yeah.
If in 100 years' time...
That's not true.
Wait.
That's not true.
One second, yeah. If in 100 years from now, Palestinians, right, are saying, you know what, the Israelis, even though I believe, as if, say I'm a Palestinian, if I believe that those Israel citizens shouldn't be there, or at least shouldn't be building illegal settlements, shouldn't have taken my land, and I'm fighting for Palestinian rights. If I'm believing this, in 100 years' time, if my children, my grandchildren are saying, you know what, that is my fellow brother and sister, they are more Palestinian than, I don't know, or more Arab, or more whatever it may be, than my brothers in Egypt or Iran or whatever it may be. Like, to me, as somebody who's fighting for Palestine, I would have an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the reason why I linked it to Palestine. I feel like what happened in the past with South Africa, of course, is differences. There is definitely differences, but the same sort of parallels can be seen. Once happened and what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that you ask any pro-Palestinian today, cool, give up your life. Of course, don't get me wrong, there are people who want the two-state solution, but many Palestinians, we know, do not want people there that are not Palestinian because they don't believe it's justified.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand, but like, I want to also like to answer the question. There's something that the sister said yesterday about us South Africans burning Nigerians. That's not true. I think they're driven by the West because they want to always divide Africans and all of that. I live in Joburg. I see Nigerians every day, Ghanaians, Congolese. I've never seen one Nigerian getting banned. I've never seen a Congolese getting banned. They are here. They were during the when there was like xenophobia in 2019. I had friends from Congo. Life was normal for them. So I don't know where it was happening. I've never seen it. And I live in Joburg. They say it was in Joburg. I've never even heard anyone say banned in South Africa. I don't know where this news comes from. Seriously.
But respectfully, of course, even though you don't know it's there, we seen it on TV. We've seen it. BBC.
I think that I think it's exaggerated. Even the crime in South Africa, man, I think it's exaggerated. I don't think South Africa is as bad as America with gangsterism in America. I think it's just they don't want, especially you guys in the diaspora, to come back to Africa and South Africa. I think they just want to see South YouTube to be a dangerous place where it's a no-go zone. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just exaggerated because I live in Joburg. Okay, they say Joburg is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Yes, maybe it is kind of dangerous, especially if you are being foolish. But I don't think it's that dangerous. I don't know. I think it's exaggerated most of the times.
Do you feel like,
especially if you're being foolish,
I think it's
don't stop the foolishness. It's trouble.
do you feel like maybe that's just your experience? Because there's stats that suggest otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It could be PR.
I think it could be propaganda. By the West. You know the West.
I mean, the one is I'm not.
Yeah, I think it's propaganda.
I'm not for the argument people say that Africa is dangerous and because I always say there's crime everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So I never say to people that this place is necessarily more dangerous than the West because we know what it is that we're doing in the West. I know someone whose phone got stolen outside church on Sunday here in this London. Do you get me? So I don't think it's necessarily more dangerous, but I do think that just because you don't see or just because you don't experience it as a local doesn't mean it's not true. There's a lot of people. Even our very dear Gina, she got her phone stolen in South Africa when she came, and it was like a whole other ordeal with it. And no one's saying that that's it, like that's all there is to South Africa, but there are crimes there, just like there are crimes everywhere else. So when you're thinking where you're gonna go, you are going to consider those things. But with the Nigerian experience, I vividly remember that whole ordeal. That was a whole thing. So just because you didn't see something like in your face doesn't mean it didn't happen. But yeah,
true. But I think this thing like xenophobia is also stimulated by, let's say, maybe a Nigerian. Because in South Africa, I want to tell you something. I want to be honest with you. Yeah. In the townships, they don't care whether you're Nigerian, whether you're South African. If they find you doing something wrong, maybe it's for serious crimes such as rape. They found you selling drugs or you murdered someone, they're going to burn you alive. So I don't think South Africans are so savage to just take an innocent man, a Nigerian innocent guy who's having an honest living, and they ban him. There's always something that you did if they ban you. They don't care whether you're South African, they don't ask.
No, but do you remember that period though? Like with the whole thing with Nigerians in South Africa, and they're basically getting run out of South Africa. Do you remember that?
Was it 2019?
I can't remember when it was, but it was. Do you remember that whole thing?
I remember the whole thing.
So, do you know what that was about? Maybe we've got it wrong.
I don't even know. Seriously, honestly, they say in Joburg there was like.
Wait a minute. You don't know
anything about it.
You don't
okay,
know.
I heard news.
Are you qualified for this conversation?
I heard news about it, but I've never seen anyone getting banned. Like innocently, I've never.
Did you see any of them get attacked?
If they ban me in South Africa, the what?
Did you see any of them get attacked?
No, never.
But did you hear that
South Africans are not being attacked? He won't attack you. He won't attack you because you are what is it going to say about us? If just attacking an innocent person. It's not fair.
No, but babes,
Even some other South Africans will say, nah, this is wrong.
no, but babe, it's not about that
You
because
can't
in the
just-
UK, in the last week and last 2 weeks, we've had riots going on in the streets with white extremists, what's it called, attacking black and browns. I haven't physically been in the room or on the road on the street where it's happening. However, I've heard about these attacks. So when you say that you didn't see the Nigerians being attacked, you might not have seen it for yourself, but you would have surely heard about the attacks.
But I live in Joburg South, where the majority of people, like, there's a huge, like, what can I say? There are a lot of foreigners and South Africans living in one place, Joburg South.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I've never seen anything happening. Even in the townships, like the new townships nearby me, I didn't hear anything. I was going there all the time. There was nothing. I don't know where it was happening. Really, seriously, honestly, I should be honest. I don't know where it was happening.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Maybe
Someone asked
just
yesterday, yeah?
one person, I don't know.
Yeah, let me ask you this question as well. So obviously you're saying that you don't see white people as anything special or whatever, but regardless of that, not to say that you got them on a pedestal or anything, but we probably look over there and like like you're saying, we just see Europeans, I don't know, Dutch people, whatever, like colonizers, whatever. Do you look at the white people and see Africans? Like, not whether they're special or they're better than this or anything like that. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, when you look at them, do you see Africans?
I have to be honest with you. I have to be honest. I'll be brutally honest. When I see a white person, I say normal South African. But not like African, like the whole, the continent, no. But I say South African like me.
Okay.
I don't see anything special about them, anything different about them. They're just normal.
But you see them as a South African.
That makes sense to me, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, South African, normal South African.
Like how we would see other like Asians, blacks as Brits.
As British, exactly. So it completely makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think because of the history of their place, like I think that we can't look at their situation like we look at the situation if it was West Africa, for example. Do you get me?
True. That's right. Yes, you're right.
Because in West Africa, majority of people there are black. Let me even use Nigeria. As a Nigerian, you're black. Do you get what I mean?
And
But
I think that's where the misunderstanding comes from.
and that's because of our history. So with their history, it doesn't work the same way. And I think that's why whenever we have these conversations, there's it can't click because both sides are talking about from their experiences. Yeah. We're defining race and we're defining nationality and ethnicities and whatever by the education we've received, and obviously they're defining it by their lived experiences. So, yeah, man. Well, thank you, Hannah.
True.
Just respect
thank you.
Country.
So, Ntokosa says, just respect our country. We might be black, but we will choose our white South Africans first always. Yes, because
wow.
No, but because they're South African. They don't see white or black. They just see South African first.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. So now I get the whole Miss Nigeria thing, because they don't see her South African because she's not South African.
Yeah, precisely.
So had she grown up or maybe whatever it was, she was in South Africa and blah blah blah, they will see her as South African.
Yeah.
But it's like she's an immigrant, come to then compete to represent their land. It makes no sense to them. So I get that. That makes sense to me. Because they've grown up with, like he's saying on the phone, they've grown up with white people as South Africans. So before you're white or black, you're South African first.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Jossa says white people are considered Afrikaner. Bore, I think I'm saying that right.
Bore.
Oh, everyone's an expert. Their culture and their schools play a big part in South Africa. They have history in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like...
I get it. Don't get me wrong, I fully get it.
Yeah, but you're projecting your
again.
situation.
And my man said, and you said that the white people were there for 300 years.
Yeah.
So by this point, why don't you get it? Because it's just like when, like, obviously they've been displaced for different reasons.
Yeah.
But even like with the slave trade, with like the Americans, they've been over there for 300, 400 years.
Yeah.
They're American by now. They are black African Americans. They're like, that's the generations are there. By this point, they are Americans. It's the same thing. Even though they've gone over there for their own free will, they wasn't brought there to be slaves or nothing like that. Yeah. They're generations deep, 300, 400 years deep. By this point, they should be afforded the same thing as the rest of them. They're Africans. They're South African.
Don't get me wrong, I get it. I know they've been there for 300 plus years, but apartheid ended in our lifetime. in our lifetime, black people was walking around with passports that had to show proof of identity in their country. That's insane to me. And then the next day, after apartheid ends, we're the same. We're South Africa together. That's why it doesn't reconcile in my brain. I understand it on the international level. South African, you're part of the land, this, that, and the third. But we didn't come here 300 years ago and it was cool. It was 300 years ago, it was oppression. Oppression up until the 90s. To this day, 90%, is the good brother still on the phone? But he's still on the phone.
You could ask him.
Are you still there?
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone.
He's gone.
All right, cool.
So why did you do that?
You know what I mean? Could have been simply... Anyway,
I didn't see it.
Such an annoying
doing
sibling.
something else.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's the reason why I have an issue with it. Because prior to the 90s, people were still fighting. People were still fighting. People were still getting killed. People were still going to... Nelson Mandela was still in prison. He come out of prison, they're still fighting for better relations. Only for the next generation to be... And again, I know I'm oversimplifying it. And I fully get it. I do get it. It just doesn't sit well with me. That's basically what I'm trying to say to you.
The same problems are happening all over the world. So what you're saying is... And so this woman that they're saying is Nigerian and from Mozambique.
Yeah.
But she's born in South Africa.
I believe she was, isn't it? Was she born in South Africa?
She's born and raised in South Africa.
Oh no, she's not my friend.
Because what somebody in the chat said is you're only South African if by blood, not because you're born in the soil.
Okay, yeah. I think
So
her mum
by
was like
blood.
half something. Like,
But
she's
she
Her
was
mum's
born there.
Mozambican.
she's
Yes,
born there.
I believe so, yeah.
But you're born there don't mean...
Yeah. By the law in South
by-
It
Africa...
don't mean. But
No,
I'm trying to
because by
say,
the
so
way-
this is the arguments we have. So when these
No,
UKIPs and
but
these far
you
rights are
can't
telling
do
you,
that.
you're telling me you're
You
British because
can't-
you was born here.
Let me tell you what
just
it
told
is.
him being born here don't mean nothing.
You cannot do that because our history is different to South Africa's history.
I get where you're coming
So-
from, but
no,
you
no,
kind of
no.
can do it.
No, you can't because we live very different lives and we see race and stuff very differently. Over here, you see that a person's white or black before you see they're British, do you not?
Yeah, I guess so.
In South Africa, they don't see black or white first. They see South African first. That's why you can't do that over here because we live by two separate rules. That's why, to be honest with you, this conversation is kind of void because we're basically taking paracetamol for people's headaches that they don't even have. Like, they're not worried about these things. They don't, like, they're not seeing races where we see, they're not uncomfortable by the fact that there's white people living with them. Like, they don't see that. That's not their concern. And I get that you can see how they understand, but you can't reconcile with. But respectfully, it's not for you to reconcile with because they're
right.
not your people.
You're right.
And so, honestly, it doesn't matter to you. So, but sorry, that's why we can't make a parallel with how it is that we live here.
Yeah.
Because for the the extremists over here is different.
Yeah.
Because they actually invited people to come over here, help them with the war, blah blah blah, and in trade for British citizenship.
Yeah.
Over there, I don't know what the history of South Africa is or wherever else, but their situation is very different.
Yeah.
So we can't parallel it to this riots that's going on here and they come across as if they're justified in attacking people and saying you're taking our jobs and leave our country. It's very different.
Very different.
Very different hate that's being spewed. But over there, they're not seeing it as hate.
I fully agree with you. This is why I was trying to make the parallel to Israel and Palestine. Because right now, people every weekend are protesting saying the Palestinians deserve rights. Amongst the people in Palestine, in those pro-Palestinian marches, some are saying, let's come to a two-state solution. And some are saying, but the Israelis should not be there. And I'm saying, 30 years ago, South Africans had the same sentiment. You should not be here. Why am I campaigning for peace and unity in my own land? Not one of us in this room would understand if somebody came into our house, beat up our wives, beat up our husbands, right? Like took over the entire house and then afterwards asked you to be okay with the fact that they live in the house and say peace. None of us will understand that. That's basically what I'm saying. And I'm saying 30 years ago, people understood that too.
Yeah, but are the South Africans at the moment fighting about this?
No.
So what are we doing here?
I'm just
Demi
saying
says,
my opinion. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but like it's high blood pressure.
Crazy,
Demi says,
right?
Man, what, me or Demi?
No, Emmanuel.
Yeah, like I don't understand what we're doing.
They're not complaining. They're like,
They're literally happy.
We know about history, but we're good.
We're good.
We're building towards something different. We're good.
Man's on here doing.
Man's like, no,
you would not be good. You cannot be good.
no, but all of us, like, we want better. Sorry. We want things.
I want better for the people that see what the problem that I see and want that for themselves.
Yeah.
If they don't see a problem with it, I cannot impose my problem on them.
But how is it? Sorry, Esther. How is it that you're able to see the problem in Palestine?
The sick don't
Because
care.
the
The Palestinians don't care, man.
The Palestinians, they're currently like, we want our land back. South Africans aren't like, we want our land back.
But they did in our lifetime.
Yeah, but they did.
When
right
they were doing it.
Right now, do they want
I
that?
understand what you're saying at all. There's a comment on the.
Yes, please. Demi says, man, South Africa really solved racism. Fair play to them, man. Okay. Demi, I thought that was going to be an insightful.
Demi, you're back. You're back. You're back on the right side.
South Africans in the comments want to get him. He is Nigerian.
Is the issue that you have like what Maggie's saying? She's saying that she thinks the issue that she has is they're accepting of white South Africa, but not accepting of a black South African with Nigerian heritage.
Yeah, but she's not South African. If the rumors are true, she's not South African. So they say
born there.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. To be South African, you need to have blood. South African blood.
So let me read a full comment for the listeners, right? So she says, Maggie says, I think the issue I have is they are accepting of white South Africans, but not accepting of a black South African with Nigerian heritage. They are not applying the open diversity to all. They didn't say they wanted to apply the open diversity to all. They said they're applying the open diversity to South Africans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's not a thing where they're not breaking their own rules. They told you what the rule is. And by their rule that they've set, they're following their rules.
Yeah.
Because she's part South African. She's born on South African soil, but is Nigerian.
Yeah, and Mozambique.
There you go. And all them sprinkles, all the United Nations. And they don't want that. They say we don't like that.
Yeah.
So
I get it, man.
it makes sense.
I do get it. But again, I think it just goes back to just thinking the energy is there.
Sorry. Vaughn said, and this is actually it, you know. Vaughn says the perspectives of the black diaspora compared to people who are in Africa is very interesting. I find it's interesting in every conversation that we have about things back home. It's always so funny.
Yeah.
That's really the problem, is that we are looking at things with our lovely Western eyes and whatever it is that we think is best because we've left where we think is so bad. And the people there are calm, man.
But sometimes you do need the outside perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the pro-black Pan-African opinions that took root in Africa came from the diaspora, came from black Americans, black West Indians.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We saw them outside of the continent and was inspired and said, no, we're going to do this back home. So sometimes you can get that from us in the diaspora.
Yeah, but the problem is that if there's nothing wrong with that and you're right. Yeah. However, if the people that back home that live that's their reality every single day and wherever else, respectfully, we are not the ones back there, so we have no ground. As much as we can be back from there, visit all the time, blah, 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 we don't face the reality that they face. So we have no standing, we have no leg to stand on to say to them, no, like, we will bring this back and we will will do these things. Part of that is even, it's kind of adjacent to what the colonizers think, in that anything that comes from the West or any ideas that come from the West or anything that comes from the West automatically is better than that. Why do we think that our ideas are better than the ideas back home? And why do we assume that there's nobody back home who's always lived back home who doesn't have those ideas? Sure. But because we're from the West or wherever it is, or the lands have been labelled as the lands of opportunities, we assume that we know better than the ones back home. And I think that's where that friction, unfortunately, will always be, because for them, they find it very insulting. Speaking of insulting, BK says, why are these guys being so condescending to black South Africans?
And honestly, I know
South African for all.
I know it may sound silly, but that's certainly not my intention. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just me caring about black Africans.
Yeah,
I'm a
and
Pan-Africanist.
Just stop. Tokosa, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, said, we grew up like this and we are happy. We want to change our differences. And we still in conversation about all these things.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, Black Rob says we are slightly doing what we... What's that? What's that?
Is that chastise he's trying to go for?
Chastise.
We are slightly doing what we chastise the Americans for doing, thinking your perspective is the only prism to look at it through.
I mean, no one said it's the only perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's just me saying, okay, cool, I understand your perspective from where you are. But as somebody who also cares about the nation... it just seems some particular way. And this is also the reason why I keep talking about Israel and Palestine, because the South Africans can see what's going on in Israel and Palestine and can see it's not right. The same thing happened in your land 30 years ago.
Yeah, but
same thing.
Do they
but
care?
worse.
Yeah, but
That's why I'm saying it.
I think it's very difficult to actually draw parallels unless both variables are there. Because the South Africans, how the South Africans are feeling and how the Palestinians are feeling are very different. Which is why things are happening the way they're happening right now for them.
Oh, you mean currently how they're feeling?
Currently, how they're feeling, yes. And I think that if we get to a place, say, in 20 years' time and South Africans decide, actually, do you know what? I don't even think it's a moment to be like, oh, I told you so. I just think people get to where they get to at the time that they do. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I understand. Yeah, and somebody said in the comments, talking about Julius Malema. 100%. 100%.
It says Iman's perspective is present in South Africa through the likes of Julius Malema. The South Africa take we are hearing is not coming from an ignorant place.
Yeah, that's fair. But that's what I made the comment about, like, assuming that there's not people back home who feel this way, who are probably doing some work and whatever, like, to try and, like, there's probably people, South Africans, who think exactly like you do. And in their way, they're trying to do some kind of work to bring that awareness and blah, 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 blah. And maybe they haven't been amplified like Nelson Mandela has, but who knows? With 50 years' time, they might do. Yeah.
So everything that you've said and you've learned and stuff like that, does it bother you that the representation of Miss South Africa is always white women then? Knowing
100%.
Still.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's insulting. That means the perfect representation of South Africa and Africa, right, is a white woman. To me, that's insane. I think that's insane. I know it may not sound insane to everybody else, but that means the best representation, beauty, mind, everything that Miss South Africa is meant to be, or Miss Nigeria, or Miss World is meant to be, is personified in my oppressor, in the descendants of my oppressor. That's wild to me. May not be to everybody else, but I just can't reconcile the ideas. I just can't.
And you would say the same for black or mixed race Miss or Mr. Britain?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. And the reason why, this is the distinction I was trying to make yesterday. Britain had a system where, including their British Empire, they welcomed us. Come. We did this to your lands, whatever it may be, but come. Commonwealth, come. Help us in the war, come. Invite. You know what I'm saying? If I come to your house, kick down the door, punch you up, and stay, it's different to you saying, come. And so we are here being told we are welcomed here, be like us.
Okay.
Somebody else came and said, I don't care for you, your religion, your God, your colour, nothing.
So
your land, I'm taking it all.
So there can
and
be a black Miss Great Britain and it's calm for you because of how it was born here.
100%.
If I told
The
you,
history is
if
important.
I told you that in the last 20 years there's been one white Miss Great Britain, and in the last 20 years they've all been black or mixed race from African or Caribbean descent or whatever, would that be too much for you?
I mean, not for me because I'm black, but I would understand if somebody else is saying, wait a minute. How? Like, it just seems like maybe this is just you guys just trying to choose this. Like, why can't white Britain, Miss Britain look like white people? Like, there's 85% of us here. Why can't it? So I would understand if they had an issue with it. But I wouldn't have an issue because I'm black. You know what I'm saying? But I would understand it though. But every single person we've seen, Miss South Africa, is a white woman. That to me is insane. Imagine I'm going to Ghana and for the last 10 years, you lot are seeing Miss Ghana as Lebanese. You lot will be insane. You lot will be thinking, wait a minute, Gina would lose her mind. So I'm not saying something that's crazy to us. Africa is for Africans. And I know people think Africans in different ways.
And Afrikaan.
I just mean it in the way Marcus Garvey meant it.
And Sokosa says it's not Africa, it is South Africa. We are more of an example of USA even in our history.
I understand.
Because that's what I was even going to say. Because this whole Africa, like South Africa, like I think sometimes we talk about South Africa as if like, you know how we got like East Africa, you got West Africa, North
Yeah, it's
Africa.
not a region. It's a country, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that, do you know what I mean? It's not just a compass. It's its own entity. So I feel like that's just...
Again, I fully get it. And if you want to say you're more like the United States of America, beautiful. Ask the original Indians who are there, whose land it was, if they're happy with the setup right now. Ask them. Ask them. They ain't got nothing. If it wasn't clear, they ain't got nothing.
They're okay though, having nothing.
They're not okay.
If you're talking about the South Africans, I'm talking
about the indigenous
I don't
Indians.
care about those people. Listen, this is my thing, yeah. What our topic about today is about South Africans, right?
Yeah.
The South Africans are calm. They're
it,
cool.
yeah.
They're saying stop taking paracetamol for headaches we do not have. We cannot keep looking at them through the lens of West Africa or through the lens of Britain where you live or through whatever lens. They're saying consider our case solely as it is. And when we consider it solely as it is,
Yeah.
these people them are good.
I get it.
So all the best to all parties involved.
Pardon me, guys.
The original indigenous people in Trinidad were the Arawaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not me.
It's not you.
It's not me.
Okay.
I'm not the original. But yet,
I'm not the original.
I would want to see Black Miss Trinidad and Tobago. And if I were to listen to you,
You need coolie things in that pageant though as well. Come on, for Miss Trini. Come on, Brent. Let's have it.
let me finish my sentence.
Okay, sorry, go on.
This is going off the back of what he's saying.
Okay, yeah.
That the original indigenous people should care about the interlopers, right?
Okay,
The oppressors and whatnot, right? The people who came afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And
Especially if they're still oppressing me. Go on, bro.
but if I'm to follow your reasoning, you should be vexed that you see Black Miss Trinidad and Tobago. You should be advocating for the descendants of the Arawaks.
I ain't got that type of bandwidth.
You see?
I care about black people.
Can you hear?
Black African.
Oh,
Listen,
I heard.
Can you hear?
I heard.
I'm not on the. Listen, listen. I'm unapologetically African, Black African. That's my priority. I should go around doing United Nations, We Are the World, Bob Geldof. Ain't got time for that. There's charities that can do that.
So you see what you're saying? South Africa is different to Africa. It's its own entity or whatever. Is that just because of its history with white people though?
What I mean is different. It's just that it's you can't equate it to East Africa or West Africa because those are regions that contain many countries. South Africa is just a country. Yeah. So that's what I meant in terms of what Esther was saying in the difference. So really, if you were to equate it, you would include the other countries in South Africa, but you would just say Southern Africa, I guess, isn't it? Like Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and them places. But yeah. Anyway.
All the best, everybody. Big up South
man.
Africans.
Big up to South Africans, man. Again, I do not mean to be condescending in any way. I love all South African people. Sorry. I love all Black South African people. I'm just saying how it feels as one of your cousins. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Did they see you as a cousin there?
I hope so.
You a beg. That's what's happening here. You're being a beg. That's really what's happening.
We're in the fight together, man. That's how I see it.
No, they said we is French. They're not trying to fight with you or for you or alongside you. They said our fights are different. Anyway, big up to South Africans. Well, let's see what the comments say about you tomorrow. See how they really feel. Let's get into more headlines, please.
All right, people. So I say headlines. Ukraine's top commander has said that Kiev's forces control 1,000 square kilometers of Russian territory as they press their biggest cross-border incursion in 2.5 years of full-scale war. The commander, Alexander Saweetie, said that Ukraine continued to conduct an offensive operation in the Kursk region 7 days after it began. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia had brought war to others and now it was coming back to Russia. But the Russian leader Vladimir Putin described the offensive as a major provocation and ordered Russian forces to kick the enemy out of their territory. All right. Next headline.
You're like a dog with a bone. Just let it go.
Can't help us.
Gosh.
Forgive me, people. All right, so next set of headlines. Thousands of residents have been evacuated from their homes as large wildfires reached the suburbs of Athens, with some flames leaping as high as 25 meters. Homes and properties in nearby towns such as Varnavas, as well as northeastern parts of the Greek capital, are on fire. With the sun setting, aircraft working to extinguish the flames have been forced to land, making it a ground operation overnight. Residents are complaining there are not enough fire trucks and firefighters to help, as Greek authorities request international assistance. So help is expected from Spain, Italy, Turkey, Romania, and Canada, with France also providing a Super Puma utility helicopter and the Czech Republic sending 75 firefighters and 25 vehicles. And our last headline, trigger warning. I think this happened early this week or last week. Very sad, man. Trigger warning. An inquest has been told that a 13-year-old girl with a severe dairy allergy suffered an immediate reaction after just one sip of a Costa coffee hot chocolate that was supposed to be made with soy milk. Hannah Jacobs from Barking, East London, who had been allergic to dairy products, died within hours of sipping the drink on the 8th of February 2022. Her mother, Abimbola Duile, who ordered the drink, said that her anger gave way to terror after her child's reaction to the drink. The inquest is due to last 6 days. She went on to say that I will always remember her as a happy child. I loved my child so much and my heart is broken. The mother and daughter visited the Costa Coffee branch in Station Parade, Barking, which is owned and operated by a franchise. People, even though they say, yeah, it's made with soya,
sad, you know.
it's made with this, ask them again and make sure, man, or
She
watch
did.
them.
Can't they take him to the cleaners for
Did.
that?
Of course she is. She has to. She will. She 100% will. That's like a done, open and closed case. But she did ask
crazy.
them. It's mad. It's mad. Losing a child is mad. They would never be able to pay enough. There's nothing they can do.
But yes, that's it for the headlines. Time to pay the bills.
Damn, man. All right, let's get into some word on road. All right, so YG and Saweetie, I love her name so much. Saweetie allegedly had an argument over the weekend, a heated argument that meant that somebody who was not man. Do you know what? No, I was going to say someone that's not minding their business, but sometimes people be arguing in the house and it's actually disturbing me. But yeah, someone who was concerned, called the police about it. Nothing happened. There was the police didn't say there was any kind of violence involved. They were just apparently having a very heated argument. And apparently the argument started over a phone. You know, couples have to be checking each other's phones. I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you're doing this. If you have to check each other's phones, just let it go. Let it go. There's nothing there for you. I don't mean on the phone. There's a lot there on the phone. But I mean, there's nothing there in the relationship for you. Just let it go. Anyways, apparently, allegedly, that's what they were arguing about. And allegedly, the police had to be called and whatnot. But all is well. Well, hopefully all is well. Anyway, hopefully all is well. Buju Banton.
Buju.
He was on Drink Champs, a show I do not like anyway. And he was talking a lot about afrobeats, discussing afrobeats as a matter of fact. I'm going to get into it. I was going to try and watch the whole show, but I just can't with those guys. You know, I've sat through some things.
Don't have the bandwidth in it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Because I've sat through some things for the purposes of Word on Road. I tell you guys that. I have. But when it comes to these guys, I just can't do it. Not on 1.75, hell, not on 3. I just can't do it. Anyways, I've got the tea regardless. So basically, right, he was on there, had a lot to say. And he's caused a stir on the internet currently at the moment. And this is why the whole diaspora and wars things is just, this is kind of part of things that fuels it. And it's all just so funny to me because, again, like Von said earlier, I just think sometimes, I don't know if this is the way people feel back home. It might be. It may not be. But we'll never know because we never really ask them how they're feeling. We just bring our lovely Western ideas into things. Anyways, he basically was commenting about Afrobeats and reggaeton. Obviously, I'm not of the Latino descent. So my focus is Afrobeats. But I will get into what he said about reggaeton and the Latinos can pick up their pitchforks and whatnot. So basically, he was on there and he was basically talking about Afrobeats. He spoke down on the genre and he says that our songs, and this is the thing. Sorry, there's a lot of things that I'm thinking as I'm going through these things. But basically, I think that sometimes you might not have insight into a culture. And in your ignorance, you assume that because you personally don't know of this information, you assume this information doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like how I said earlier about we can't assume that there's people back home who are not, say in South Africa, for example, who don't think the way Iman thinks and who don't want the same thing Iman wants. We can't assume that. It's like when people say, oh my gosh, no one these days has a business that does this. But actually, there are people there that do have that, but they're not popular enough for you to know that. Buju Banton is talking about how in Afrobeats, there is a lack of songs addressing political issues that plague the different areas of the continent. That is a damn lie if I ever heard one. That's a damn lie. Excuse me, we should have been on Drink Champs with your mans. When all of you was out here shaking a leg, doing bissa and whatnot to Burna Boy's African Giant, you all missed all the parts when he was cussing, when he was talking about the political issues in Nigeria. When he's singing about Dangote, he's talking about Dangote's greed, went straight over your heads. Over your heads. When he did that whole speech, you just skipped that part. When he talked about Unilever and whatever else, what do you think that was about? Obviously, I'm going to get into Asake in a minute because some of you are telling the man to be singing in English. But when these things are happening, when these languages are being said, so not all of you go in Genius Lyrics to find out what it means. And now here you go sitting on a table with hella alcohol talking about African people don't make music about the socio-political issues. Last week I talked about Onyeka Onwenu, who sadly passed away. She was a political activist. What do you think was in the song? Fela Kuti, what do you think was in his songs? Seun Kuti is always in and out of jail and whatnot, running up and down the damn place all the time. There's that. Who else can I think of? Hella other artists, even the old school artists, hella artists that I know from Nigeria. I don't know about the other countries because he talks about there's issues in South Sudan. He talks about there's issues in Kenya. He talks about all this stuff and says that there's no people that sing about political issues there. I think it's a very, very ignorant comment to make. Greek says the songs you are mentioning are the only ones. That's a damn lie, Greek. Is Greek Nigerian? He's Nigerian.
And Congolese.
Oh, that's a damn lie.
And South African.
Okay, Greek, that's a damn lie. And I think that's the problem. Just because you don't know. There's so many other people. Sound Sultan. I grew up listening to Sound Sultan. Do you know what Sound Sultan was singing about? The conditions in Nigeria. That's what he was singing about. In his music videos, what was it? He's passed away and RIP to him. That's what he was singing about. Asha, what do you think Asha sings about? T.Y. Bello, what do you think these amazing people are singing about? Just because you don't listen to these people and just because they're not the ones that are playing in raves and whatever else does not mean people aren't doing the work. I think it's such an ignorant Western way to think. I don't know if Buju Banton lives in the West. Where does Buju Banton live?
Buju.
Jamaica.
In Jamaica, I guess.
He lives in Jamaica. Just because you're not privy to things that happen in a certain culture doesn't mean it's not happening. It's extremely ignorant. It's over a nice beat. That's the beat of our music. We cannot help but put it over a nice beat. We cannot help but do these things. So just because you don't see these things happening or you are unaware that these things are happening, it's not in your forefront, doesn't mean people don't know about it. T.Y. Bello, literally, that woman be singing things. Sound Sultan, his entire music, his catalogue was about singing about the conditions. Fowls, we know Fowls the bad guy. Yes, he's got a lot of songs that are very funny, but this guy, he's a lawyer, but also his dad was an activist. He is an activist. NSARS might have been the first time you ever thought he was an activist, but that's not the first time he's been activating.
Facts.
And his music says that as well. So it's such an ignorant thing to say. Who's that?
Apparently, you got to watch the whole interview.
I'm not doing it.
To get the full context.
I'm not doing it.
No, because you know what happens on the internet when you get clipped up. Brent does it all the time.
Man. I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it. Let me
full
give you direct
context to the
quotes.
clip.
Emmanuel's guilty of doing this now.
Let me give you direct quotes from what it's because the things I'm speaking about, I'm speaking of people who have watched the interview and given their criticisms, but also I'm going off articles. We push.
No.
I'm going off articles.
Am I bad? Like every opportunity I get to basically throw him under the bus.
Do you
I
do?
do it.
No, but
Is that bad?
No. I think that's you. You've been doing that since day one of the show.
Yeah, but
You're 2.5 years
stop
in.
doing it.
I think it's fun. I think it's very razzle dazzle.
Let me do that.
No, I can keep doing
You want
it.
people to see me and my wickedness? Is that what you said?
Hopefully. Maybe it can be a parallel. It can be a parallel of certain...
Like every opportunity I get,
You do.
waiting.
Very quick.
Like I zone you out until you mention something I can basically...
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how your brain works. Wicked brain. Wicked.
Maybe it's just the character I've decided to play for this particular pantomime.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm here for it.
Nice.
But yeah, so he's talking about, so I hear that you're saying I need to listen to full context. Essentially what he's saying is that we don't give, Afrobeats and reggaeton have not given credit where it's due to the influence of Jamaican music. And that's fair. But he did go on to talk about that we don't have Afrobeat songs that are uplifting. That's a
maybe
damn
he
lie.
just meant any
He
more because
says-
apparently he was picking up bare artists.
Let me, that's great. Let me give you direct quotes from what it was that he said. He says, tell me one Afrobeat song that can uplift us. He says, Kenya is suffering. I'm sure people that have watched this, that have all the context, I'm sure this should ring a bell. Kenya is suffering. Young men of Kenya are revolting. South Africa, Sudan, South Sudan, you name it. But which of these Afrobeat songs can I relate to for a peace of mind to tell me that I'm in the struggle and we are going to be better in the struggle? And even though it's hard, we're going to overcome. Tell me. He goes on to then obviously talk about like reggaeton as well, and he says that there's a lot of culture vultures out there. He says we have sat and we have watched reggaeton taking reggae music. You have effed with our music so hard and stolen our culture. I can't speak to that because if reggaeton is out here sounding like reggae, like I can't speak to that, and he's absolutely right in how he feels about that. He says that you don't give us no respect, MFs, and you still expect us to kowtow. Is that a Jamaican word?
Yeah, kowtow.
Kowtow, yeah. And act like we take something from you. This is the King's music. Your music
Kowtow.
hall. Okay, thanks. Your music hall come and go because it has nothing to do with soul. It has nothing to do with building energy. Who's that? Rara says he's talking about music for the soul. He also doesn't like dancehall.
And Imi Snow Globe said before that he was also dissing dancehall. He don't like.
No, but I'm not a dancehall babe, so that's for you to fight. Do you get what I'm trying to say? This is the whole South African thing again. I'm not gonna fight for people who I don't know whether you're upset and stuff.
He prefers conscious music in it, so he talk about.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can only speak to the Afrobeat part, and I can because I know Afrobeats and I grew up on Afrobeats. I can say that he's wrong about what he said about Afrobeats. I can't say I don't listen to dancehall. I don't listen to reggae. I don't listen to bashment. I don't listen to anything. I listen to Afrobeats. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but obviously them man that was doing activism through their music and stuff like Fella and that, or he's old school Bob and them man there. Hey, what he's probably saying is there's no one moving like that now.
But that's what I'm saying, that you can't
Actually,
say that.
I don't even know what he's saying because I didn't watch the interview. So
But he can't say that. Though.
I don't even know what he's saying.
No, I feel like that's part of what he's saying. Though, but you can't say that because you don't know. Like just because your people you're seeing chart are not the only people that make music. You know, that's not the only music that comes out of Nigeria. That's not the only music that comes out of Africa. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. So you can't just make these assumptions. I can't speak to dancehall. So you telling me that he spoke about dancehall, that does nothing for me. Because I can't speak to dancehall, and if you're upset that he spoke about dancehall, you feel like that's a lie, then you can come forward to the congregation and you can make that claim for yourself. But I can't speak to dancehall, I can't speak to reggae, I can't speak to anything. If he feels like that and that's the truth, then that's fine. But what I can speak to is, is Afrobeats. Even Olamide, that song, Science Student, that song was about the drug situation that was going on in Nigeria with the youth. That's what that song was. Of course, because that song is over beats, it sounds lit. That was playing in clubs, that was playing out blah blah blah. But I listen to lyrics of songs, and obviously if the song is in my language, it makes it easier for me. So I know what that song was. So when everyone was out here doing whatever they're doing and shakuing to the beat and whatever else, I knew what the lyrics were saying, and I knew what the lyrics was talking about. It was literally talking about how it is that young people are doing drugs and da 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 da, and like all these things. So these things do exist. Just because you don't know about it, I think it's such an ignorant comment. I still maintain it's an ignorant comment to make. If I even go and watch the full thing, I will still maintain what I'm saying because I'm responding to the Afrobeats part that you're saying and no one does the things that you're saying no one does. I think it's ridiculous to make such a claim. But any people that want to fight for the dancehall or you think that he's right about that or reggae or whatever, all the best to you. I can't even speak of reggaeton. I don't listen to reggaeton. What's that guy's name? The one that's throwing his phones at people. What's his name? Bad Bunny. He's a reggaeton artist. Jerome says, this is raising an important debate. Hopefully more powerful music will follow. Do you know what's so funny? Burna Boy said this a while ago. Some people cussed him for the same thing. I don't know if you remember that interview Burna had and he said how no one's making songs that make sense.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And he was basically on the same thing of like, there's things that's going on, blah, blah, blah. And obviously people were like, oh, okay. So yeah. What was that about? But obviously, even with Burna though, Burna makes, isn't he Fella's godson or something like that? But like, he makes music about the social political issues that happen and stuff like that. So even he said it, but even then people cussed him and they're like, don't be so dismissive about other work that other people are doing just because it's not in your view. JJ Kill9 says some people said Afrobeats is gonna go down now since Vybz Kartel is, and those people are ignorant as well.
Fake news.
Of course, it's the most stupid news there is. Afrobeats existed before Vybz Kartel did, and Afrobeats will exist long after Vybz Kartel is done. So what are you talking about?
Oh, no,
but again, there's ignorant comments.
Yeah, he said some people, but yeah.
No, of course, yeah, it's not everybody.
Yeah, it's not him.
Yeah, like I saw those comments and I just be ignoring stuff because it's definitely not worth, it's just not worth the energy. So there's that.
Name 5 Buju tracks. Buju!
Can't.
So he don't talk about social political things. He's an activist.
Yes, he does.
Oh, that's wonderful. But you know what's so funny as well, yeah?
That's why I
Him
do
saying
this,
that.
is that he said-
I don't know the names of the songs. I can sing 5 Buju tracks if you play them, no?
If you play them first. But you know what's so funny? Him even saying that, yeah, he was at Afro Nation, the first year of Afro Nation. Obviously, I wasn't there. Because that was my rest.
Was he?
Yes, he was. Because I thought it was Buju Banton. I thought I was good. My ignorant ass. So even him talking about, like, you know, we're not paying homage and whatever.
Driver.
Afro Nation
Don't stop us,
had him there.
dog.
Big ups made for that. Do you get what I mean? Like, come on, man. But I just feel like we can have these conversations in a more productive manner. But unfortunately, things like this is what causes like diaspora wars and Jamaica versus thingy, because then people start talking out the side of their mouth. Like that comment about, not that you made it, babes, but like that whole narrative online about, oh, Vibes Cartel's out, so Afrobeats is done. First of all, that man was releasing music while he was in prison. And anybody trying to hear from a killer. Vibes Cartel said, Lala says, Vibes Cartel said, Lala says Vibes Cartel needs professional help before he thinks about making new music. Word. I hope he gets private, I hope he's got private medical, because that's serious. But anyways, this is what that man said.
I should have just went with Boom Bye Bye as well. But
I was thinking the same thing. But I said, let me relax.
I'll
But it
press
flunk you twice.
the screen transition whilst it gets to that bit.
just get my shit off, innit? I know bare Buju songs. And the funniest thing is I probably don't know the names of the songs actually. That's weird.
It's not weird.
Do you think?
I think it's human beings' attention span. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't, as much as I listen to people that like sing about the conditions of Nigeria and I pay attention to stuff like that, I don't want to listen to that all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, poverty, yeah, I know it's so bad, but I don't want to listen to it all the time. So I think that's just human beings sometimes. People have shit they're dealing with. Crod Crow says the culture is showing, man, you're down bad. I don't get that comment. What does that mean?
He's saying that we're down bad.
I don't know who Buju Banton is.
Wait a
I
minute.
know I know the man. But...
Wait a bit. Look. I'm doing my job.
Yo, you're
I'm
working
getting
today,
harassed. I'm getting harassed.
Oh, SLM86 says Brent's a hater as well. Only put up those comments.
What comments?
Put yours up.
I put up the ones where we want to focus on Buju being a legend. What are you talking about?
What else? What other comments are there?
Buju's a legend, isn't he?
He is a
Mans?
legend though.
Yeah, he is.
That's not up for debate. I never said it was up for debate. I'm just saying he's an ignorant legend.
No.
That would be the engine, man.
Can you imagine?
That's his legacy.
Anyway, speaking of legends, right? Do you guys remember P Square?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Caribbean stuff.
Yeah.
All
I know
right,
a
no,
couple
you don't.
songs. If you sing it, though.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Basically, P Square legend. Sorry.
He used to be like everything.
Oh my God, you remember Chop My Money with Akon?
Yeah.
That was P Square.
Yeah.
Big up P Square and that. So obviously they're a duo, they're twins, right? Peter and Paul and Peter, and they are like literally OG Afrobeats in the new sound wave of thing. Because you know even that as well. When people talk about Afrobeats and whatever, people just go as far as certain people. How are the other people that have been iconic in this thing that we call Afrobeats? But anyways, so they were a boy band. So it was two of them, brothers, and I believe they were being managed as well by their brother Jude. Anyways, they did amazing things, amazing things, and these are the people that I feel like even were pioneers for even music, like Afrobeats moving to the west. Because people remember the band and the whole Kanye good music stuff, but actually, Peter and Paul had the whole Akon collaboration, and we're over here, and there's a lot of stuff that's happened that again, if you don't have the knowledge of, you would just assume Rema is the first artist that crossed over. You would, or you think Wizkid is the first one that did it. No, these legends did it for the younger people to do it. And the current ones are doing it for even younger people to do it. Anyways, they were a group, boy band of two, and they basically broke up. They broke up because allegedly what had happened was their brother, who was their manager, was stealing money from them. It's a whole thing. Then them two, I believe those two carried on. And then at some point they broke up because they were just, sometimes I find twins very weird. Like I always wish I was a twin, but sometimes some certain twin dynamics I see are very, very weird. Anyway, so for years now, they basically turned themselves into solo artists. So Peter is Mr. P. And what's his name? Paul goes by Rude Boy. So obviously sometimes people are shy for you because you're an old ass man by the name of Rude Boy. But I think they had like a whole label called Rude Boy Music, something like that anyway. Anyway, cut long story short, Peter basically penned a letter to his brother. His brother was on a radio station in Nigeria talking about whatever, and talking about like some conflicts he had, some money situation involving EFCC. EFCC is like the fraud, the money people, them, or whatever else. And it was a whole thing. So basically discussing his brother, and the brother basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's like 5 slides of, I'm not doing all of that. I read it all yesterday, but I will give you a quick summary. So basically he's talking about how he starts to say, my dear brother Paul, and he says, like I've told you several times, I'm not in competition with you or anybody else. He basically says that it's very sad how like things are broken down with them, how they're no longer like in each other's lives, how they've been beefing, how the group has broken up. And he says how he doesn't understand how his brother continues to go around claiming to be responsible for 99% of the success of the group. He basically claims that he was a dancer, he was a choreographer, he was a singer, he wrote the music, he produced this, he directed that. He basically said that you have gone out of your way in every moment to just claim that all of this was because of just you. And he said that Peter said his mistake was how he never corrected him the first time he did it. I think he did it on Twitter like years ago, like 2014, something like that. And he said that he just let it slide. I just thought, you know what, like I'm never going to engage with this. But he said, because I didn't say anything, you just ran with this narrative. I thought it was a very, very good letter, very open letter. And I think sometimes by the way someone speaks, you can tell who, I guess maybe isn't the problem. Because I feel like it was a letter that, it kind of showed wisdom, because he was just like, listen, yeah. He basically said that together as a group, we killed things. Like, we were amazing. We broke records. We took this thing internationally. We were global. Like, it was a whole thing. And he was like, as solo artists, we haven't even scratched the surface of any of the success we had as a duo. So he was like, really and truly, like, how can we sit here and say that we're winning as solo artists when really essentially the loss is really ours? And he said something like, it was really, really sweet. He said he said something about like, I haven't let the fans down. You haven't let the fans down. He's like, we together have let them down because we've disappointed them and we did not do what it is that we should have been doing. That's basically the gist of the letter. And he was just saying that, you know what, like, so at the moment now, Paul works with the brother who allegedly stole from them, Jude. So it's like 2 of them, and they both don't talk to Peter. So he's basically saying, do you know what, like, it's a shame that you've let our brother get in our mix as well and cause this problem, blah, 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 blah. It's a very, very insightful letter. Sorry, I'm getting a headache. It's a very, very insightful letter, very lovely, very nice. But obviously, he's just like, do you know what, I can't bother anymore with all of this. All the best to you. All the best to everybody. But he's just like, I'm making it clear, I'm not beefing you. I'm not in competition with you. I'm not trying to... Because he was like, I didn't do all of this. If we really look at this objectively, we both failed. We both failed. Because as a team, we were winning. And as solo artists, it's not giving. So there's that. And obviously, one thing about Nigerians in the comments, people are brutal and they're very honest. And they're basically saying, they cooked out the rude boy, basically. So that's what's happening. I do think it's sad though, because they are legends. And I think over the years, like, we see groups break up and whatever else, but I don't know, man. The Bible tried to tell you, money is the root. The love of money, sorry, not money. The love of money can be the root of all evil. But it's really, really sad that as legends, they've gone outside. And I remember, I think I reported it, I think it's like 2 years ago, where they were going to do a comeback tour, a reunion tour. But sometimes people can't just get it together. They just can't get it together. And I guess these two just haven't. Speaking of getting together, Asake is sending all of you to get it together. So basically, he was on live the other day and someone said that, someone first tweeted saying that Asake needs to understand that he's got fans around the world who don't speak Yoruba. So he needs to, what's the word? When you appease, a synonym for appease. Huh?
Compromise?
No. Like, you need to kind of meet their needs. Take their needs in consideration. Appease? Not appease. It's going to keep me up at night.
Somebody from...
Do you know what? I don't think I want your suggestion. I don't want your suggestion, as a matter of fact. I'll remember during the night when I'm sleeping. So basically, that's basically what they said. And he was on live, and someone said, what's your thoughts on the people that are saying that you should... That's gonna bug me. Brent, how do you not know?
Conform?
No.
Conform?
Not conform. Brent, your mum was an English teacher.
It's not panda.
Panda!
That's a negative connotation.
I don't care. You know, I make my own English. But he needs to pander to his fans outside.
Accommodate.
Accommodate.
the one.
So here are the scholars. Thank you very much. He needs to accommodate. Not pander actually. Yeah, accommodate his fans that do not understand Yoruba, or do not speak Yoruba, and are not Nigerian. Okay. So anyway, someone brought that up and said, "How do you feel about those comments?" kind of thing, and he said, "I'm more comfortable singing in Yoruba." He said, "If you vibe with me, embrace my Yoruba. If you don't, then don't." And it's just that simple. Because he's so, what's his name? Asake has got a new album out at the moment. What's it called again? It's called Lungu Boy. Is it Lungu or Lungu? Lungu Boy. Yeah, Lungu Boy. So that's what sparked that conversation. And I'm here for it, man. I'm sorry, but my thing with Asake is I think I remember, briefly mentioned, I said Asake has got a new album, and I think I tweeted actually. And so I saw a collaboration with Travis Scott. That was his most recent single before the album came out. And I thought, Travis Scott. And I thought, if I listen to this song and it's not giving Asake that I know and love, I'm gonna be irritated. But then I pressed play and it sampled one of the most legendary songs that have come out of Nigeria. And I'm just like,
Active?
Yes, Active, that's the song, thank you. It samples one of, who was the guy that sang that song again? I can't remember what song. But yeah, anyway, so I'm glad with Asake that he's not pandering. So in his recent album, he's got features that you wouldn't expect. He's got Stormzy on that. I really love that song as well. But in my mind, I'm always like, with certain artists that are very, very cultural, which is one of the reasons why I really love Asake, I just don't want you to start changing your tune because you're international. I don't want that. So I love the fact that he's sticking to what he is. I feel like he's experimenting with different sounds, but that's not surprising because Asake came into the game with a new sound, with a different sound anyway. He came in with Fuji influence. And yeah, Fuji influence. So I'm not surprised by that. But I love the album. I'm here for the album.
Jen just said Ashake's new album pays homage to Fuji.
Yes, it
It's the
does.
best
Because
album
it's a Fuji.
ever.
I love it because he's always been giving Fuji vibes. Personally, Fuji's not my vibe. Fuji's not my vibe. I think growing up, all the African parties I was going to, Fuji was just not my vibe. However, he makes me fall in love with. He's making me like warm up and really like Fuji, but it's lit, man.
He made it
Flipping
modern
lit.
and
Explain Fuji to me. Because it sounded like a lot of the tracks were like, if I've gone to an unplugged concert, like stripped back instrument.
Like just
instrumentals and
instrumentals.
whatnot. Yeah, just that whole jazz cafe type vibe.
Yeah, that's Fuji. So Fuji is more. I would say Fuji is more like instrumentals and stuff. I don't know how to describe Fuji actually. I
I'm
just
trying
want
to
to.
think of how to.
But Fuji is definitely more instrumentals, and it's like it's just a different kind of sound and wave to it.
Because obviously I was introduced to Asake with a whole set of a lot of instrumentation, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just stripped back.
Oh, you think it's straight back?
Oh, 100%. The majority of the tracks are stripped back.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he came in with Fuji influence. I feel like he's still doing Fuji. Like still.
So I need to know what Fuji is because I'm
I don't know how to
only
explain
talking
Fuji to
about
you.
the amount of like
Instruments that you can hear.
yeah, because it was high energy too.
Let me see how Google describes Fuji. I'm going to the white man and see what the white man says about Fuji. What is Fuji music? What's your problem over there?
I got no problems.
Oh. So it's a genre of Yoruba popular music that emerged in evolved music. Oh, I can't. This is not gonna work.
Oh, you got some good news?
No,
Oh,
it's got some money.
oh okay, cool.
That's good news. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe
about
it.
you, Manuel?
Unfortunately, sorry.
Yeah, I was literally thinking of how I'll describe it, you know.
It's just a sound. If you know, you know,
I
innit?
don't know.
Sorry, you don't know. But no, man, Fuji is lit, man.
It
But
just
anyways,
sounds like being back home,
yeah,
especially back in the day.
so Fuji apparently derives from to do with Muslims and Ramadan and like their kind of sound and waking up to fast and stuff like that. I didn't know that actually. Yeah.
Origins and cultural roots. Fuji music has its roots in the traditional Islamic Yoruba music called W-E-R-E, where or
Where
or
no, where is mad person? Sorry, where maybe
or A-J-I-S-A-R-I.
AJISA.
R-I.
Oh,
Just sorry.
Sari.
Ajisari. Which
Yes,
was
what are the
performed by
words I'm
Muslim
thinking about?
youths during the Ramadan season to wake up the faithful for the pre-dawn meal. It later evolved.
Ajisari. That's it. I was
Ajisari.
thinking, because I swear that when the Muslims wake up, it's like the time they eat or something. It's like sari or something like that. That's what it's called.
It later evolved into a distinct genre, incorporating elements of Yoruba praise, singing, and traditional talking drums.
Yep.
Fuji music is known for its complex polyrhythms, primarily driven by traditional percussion instruments like the talking drum, bata, sakara, and agidigbo. The interplay between these drums creates a rich, layered song that is central to the genre. The vocal delivery in Fuji music is typically energetic and involves call and response patterns between the lead singer and the chorus or audience.
Yeah.
Lyrics often include social commentary, storytelling, and praise singing delivered in Yoruba and sometimes in a mix of Yoruba and English.
Word.
Instrumentation. In addition to traditional drums, Fuji music often incorporates modern instruments such as keyboards, electric guitars, and synthesizers. These instruments add a contemporary flair to the genre, making it appealing to a wide audience. Over the years, Fuji music has evolved and incorporated elements from other genres such as Afrobeat, Highlife, and Juju. This fusion has allowed Fuji to remain relevant and popular across different genres. No, it isn't genres, it's generations.
Oh, yeah. Generations. All right, Monsieur. If you've ever been to a wedding and you heard like a Nigerian wedding, you heard like a live band,
Yeah.
that's Fuji.
Okay.
Yeah. So like it's just it's that live band type feel. It's lit, man. But yeah, man, I'm here for Asake's album. I love Asake. I love that he's staying true to who he is. I love that he speaks Yoruba the way he does. I just love how cultural. And that's the first thing I ever said. As soon as I ever heard him, like I just love how cultural he is and just just rich in culture, man. Big up Asake.
He could do everything.
And he does.
Yeah.
And does. Because I just wasn't sure the whole Central C track, Stormzy, Travis Scott. I just wasn't sure how all of this was going to land. Landed well. Just landed well. So yeah, big up Asake anyway. And word. And then also, it's so funny because people were quote tweeting. There's a video of a white guy in a car and he's singing Asake, but he's singing all the Yoruba. And then when the person that tweeted saying he needs to consider other people, some people quote tweeted that with the white guy saying the white guy can learn. You, little man, you can learn too. But yeah, big up Asake anyway. Check out his album. I really, really like it. I know he's gonna be in London. If there's any people that work and want to give us, well, no, I don't really care about the rest of the people in here, respectfully. Because if there's only one ticket, I'd rather have it, respectfully. If there's two, then obviously you can start adding you, the rest of you not in it. Actually, we have to take Brent, because Brent is actually an Asake fan.
Big Asake fan.
Yeah, then third, you can have it.
That's impossible.
But Brent going before you?
Yes.
100% Brent is going before you.
Thank
Why?
you very much.
Because I haven't listened to the latest album yet.
Did you listen to the first one?
Of course.
You listened to it when it dropped. Brent listened to it when it dropped.
Yeah, I've not heard of it, the latest.
You've
one.
listened to the first one?
Of course I have.
All the way
After-
through?
I'm saying after the fact,
What
though.
are we doing there? Why would you listen to it more than I would?
Because Brent loves Asake. What are you talking about?
Music. What are you talking about? I love music.
Maybe this is my.
Brent is an OG misinterpretation. What are you talking
Maybe
about?
this is how I feel about the whole South Africa thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I just feel like, of course I listen to Asake.
But you're so disconnected from music these days.
No, yes, certain times.
And you haven't listened to his latest album?
Yeah, I haven't listened to
I mean,
this
the one before this one.
Yeah, of course.
No, he said listen to that one.
What's it called?
Ain't the new one come out?
What's the last one? Last album called?
I can't remember the first one.
This is what I'm saying. So Brent is getting a ticket before you.
No, but I know the albums.
Albums.
Yeah, the two albums. Remember the first one with Organised on it?
Okay, fair.
And then the second one has got let me not start singing.
No, sing.
Because if I start singing, Asake will come and hire me to be back up. You know what I'm saying? So,
Anyways, anybody got a plug me with a ticket. That would be great. But yeah, he is back in the O2 really, really soon. Actually, I think it's in next month. I don't know. But he's back in O2 anyway. But big up Asake every single time and lovers of afrobeats. That's it. It's a bit more high blood pressure. Let's get into people's journal, please.
okay. All right, people. Welcome
I'll
to
try
the people's.
10:30 instead.
Say what?
Never mind.
Welcome to the People's Journal. I'll give you the news from an economics point of view. Gonna be quick with this one. Haven't got much to talk about, but I do want to share with you guys the fact that the official figures for UK's unemployment rate has come out, and they have dropped slightly. So unemployment was at 4.2% in the 3 months to the end of June, down from 4.4% over the previous quarter. Wage growth continued to slow. It rose at an annual rate of 5.4%, which is the weakest for around 2 years. So the ONS, right, what the Office for National Statistics, said that despite obviously some of the positive news and all that stuff, there were signs that the job market was cooling, and then job vacancies are going up. There's more redundancies, and the amount of people that's actively seeking work is still too high. So obviously, you got to take the good with the bad and stuff in it, and really see it from an overall perspective. And bear in mind as well that a lot of businesses are facing higher operating costs. The cost of living affects pretty much everybody, you know what I'm saying? So that's going to factor in to why these figures are the way they are. Next thing I wanted to mention is, remember I said to you, I believe it was June, that the new banknotes came out. Mm-hmm. Cool. You know, sometimes, see, this is the thing, this generation, as in our generation, is different to back in the day. So back in the days, you know when you get like an album, like on vinyl?
Yeah.
A lot of these albums were numbered.
Okay.
Right? So if there was 10,000 copies, you'd see like from 1 to 10,000. And so the more early, I guess, the copy you've got, like 1, 2, 3, the more valuable that copy would be, potentially. All our banknotes are numbered as well.
Okay.
And so there's somebody apparently has got the banknote, a single £10 note, right? But the serial number is like HB01 00002. So it's like the second one that's made.
Okay.
That was sold for £17,000. £10 note. £17,000.
That's lit.
So yeah.
Who had it?
I'm not too sure. Somebody just randomly got it in it.
That's actually lit.
But yeah, man, the £5, £10, £20, £50 notes entered into circulation in June. I still haven't seen one. You guys seen one? Mm-mm. No, Brent, you seen one?
No.
But yeah, man. So yeah, anyway, they're out there somewhere, and people have been auctioning them, man, putting them on eBay, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, like I said, that was £17,000. Another lot was also sold. So there was a sheet of 40 connected £50 notes. And so basically the face value of that sheet would have been the equivalent of
Actually, maybe that's the money that this boy got. Did you sell the £10 note?
What £10 note?
Someone sold a £10 note and got it and sold it for £17,000.
Yeah, King Charles. You know the new notes.
So what?
You know the new banknotes.
Actually, let me see if one I've got.
You know new banknotes, like with King Charles in front.
Okay.
So basically, you know how you know like back in the day, the albums had certain numbers. You could like vinyl albums were numbered, didn't it?
Yeah.
So the ones that had the less numbers were more valuable. So basically, someone's seen a £10 note which is basically a number 2, the second one that's printed, and he was able to auction that for £17,000, £10 note.
So where did he find it?
It just happened to get it because they're in circulation from June.
That's what I thought maybe was the one you had.
Sure, I got it.
So you see the new notes?
I ain't seen them because the one I've got is Elizabeth.
I don't really do cash, but let me see if I've got any kings on me.
So any kings on me? Why is the money like that?
Because it's not a wallet.
Yeah, but still, neither is mine, and I just folded it 4 times. Look how he's unraveling that money. Please show them the other one, so I'm not mad. Look what it looks like. This is what mine looks like. Mine is like this.
Yeah, but
You're crazy.
I've only got a card holder.
You babes, it will fit in there.
You think?
Do you know how many times you have to fold that?
Because I secretly want to forget that it's there.
You're definitely forgetting.
I don't remember.
Regard me with money. That's crazy.
You never know. Wait, let me see what number I've got. You're right. This is too much.
It is way too much because it's like building suspense.
Oh no, that's a queen. It's old bread.
But yeah, man. Like I was saying, there was like another lot that was sold. There was like literally a sheet of like £50 notes put together. I think they were all like low serial numbers, and that sold for £26,000. So the real monetary value was £2,000, but it
And
sold
it's
for
over 26,000. That's so lit. I don't feel that ever happened to me.
Next thing I wanted to mention is that the government is looking to propose a new sort of policy where water companies that fail to meet the basic standards will have to pay customers more in compensation, which is good. Especially if they're looking to increase our water bills because of things they need to fix. That was their fault. So anyway, these new rules for what could trigger these payments include like failing to carry out meter readings, or if they promise to come and install something and they haven't done it, stuff like that, you'll get compensation for. So again, right now, it's still like kind of in the works and all that. But these new proposals are looking to be rolled out, and they're going to be announced in the King's Speech. They were announced in the King's Speech last month. So when they are actually rolled out properly, I'll let you guys know. And the last thing I wanted to mention briefly is about Boris Johnson, man. Apparently, he's going to be getting an executive role at the Daily Telegraph. So yeah, man.
In the newspaper.
Yeah.
People.
Mm-hmm. You know they're like a right-leaning newspaper, innit? And yeah, man, he's got friends in high places.
So it's gonna be like writing a column.
Yeah, I think he's still right. He used to write for the Spectator.
Damn well I ain't reading that.
But a lot of these politicians do, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, like when they get like ghostwriters, because they all have books afterwards.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
sure.
That's true. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the People's Journal.
Sorry. What's next? Is it asking for a friend?
Headlines.
No, it's headlines. All right, lovely.
All right, people. So, last set of headlines. Donald Trump has falsely claimed the crowd which gathered to see the Vice President Kamala Harris speak in Michigan last week didn't exist. He's saying the crowd didn't exist, you know.
Just AI.
That's exactly what he said. The image was AI.
Who said that?
Donald Trump.
I hear it.
What crowd?
The crowd that came to see her speak or hear her speak. See and hear.
So is he still not gonna debate her?
No, she's the one apparently that don't want to debate him.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No, he said that there.
But yeah, man.
He's the same people that told you that he got shot in the ear.
So
But eventually they're gonna have to.
Is that fact?
What?
Where'd you hear that from?
It might not be fact, to be fair, but I've heard it in a couple of places.
No,
She
keep
turned
pressing
down-
him because look at
She
that.
turned down. No, I heard from I can't remember the outlet though. That she turned down an appearance. Was it on Fox or something? So it wasn't organized, but she was asked apparently to come up same time as Donald Trump and have a little back to back, and she said no.
She was busy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be that. And we're yet to hear policies. You know what I'm saying? But again, November is. To be fair, November's around the corner, man. Anyway, the picture in question shows a large crowd at the Democratic presidential nominees rally in Detroit, and Mr. Trump, who's the Republican Mr. Trump, the Republican taking on the vice president in November's election, said on his platform, the Truth Social one, that it was fake and nobody was there waiting for her, etc., etc. However, in multiple other images and videos, some taken by people present, but also by TV news teams and agency photographs, you can see a large crowd of people at their event. Obviously, it's not going to be fake. You know what I mean? Next headline, big trigger warning on this one, guys. And we touched on this briefly when it first came out. And it's about the leader of a Kenyan cult. Basically, he allegedly encouraged over 400 followers to starve themselves to death. He basically has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter in one of the worst ever cases of cult-related mass deaths. The self-proclaimed pastor, Paul Mackenzie, appeared in court in the coastal city of Mombasa alongside 94 other suspects on Monday. He was arrested last April after 429 bodies, including children, were dug up from mass graves. Most of the bodies showed signs of starvation and also assault. The prosecution said that over 400 witnesses will testify over the next 4 days. So obviously I'll keep you guys updated on that. And trigger warning, man, some sad news. Sorry, guys. Sad news in Uganda. So at least 24 people have died after a mountain of rubbish collapsed in Uganda. Rescuers continue to dig through the rubble in the capital, Kampala, days after the disaster struck at the Criticises landfill on Friday. The landfill was a vast rubbish dump site in an impoverished hillside area that receives hundreds of waste disposal trucks a day, despite being declared full years ago. It's been described as sort of like a no man's land, frequented by women and children who scavenge plastic waste that they aim to sell. The collapse is believed to have been triggered by heavy rainfall, but precise details of what happened are unclear. That's it for headlines. Hello.
Caller.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, guys. How are you?
We're good. How are you? Who are we talking? Who are we speaking to, please?
Oh, I'm Sisha and I'm from South Africa. I know you guys moved on from the topic, but I want to give you guys a bit more clarity because I can see that things are unclear. And I don't feel like the other guy explained it in terms of like what the issue actually is.
Okay, let's go.
So, I don't want to speak about the white issue now, but in terms of what happened with this girl specifically, which is Chidima, firstly, it was discovered that her mother obtained her South African citizenship through the identity theft of another South African woman. Okay. Right? That's the first thing. So she's not South African, but in that sense of citizenship, right, which would be a requirement to the competition. But that's another thing. But I feel like the major issue is the topic of xenophobia, right? And when you guys are speaking about attacks and all that, yes, those things did happen, but not recent. I mean, things like 2019 and all of those things. And if you look at these things, you will notice that it's mostly xenophobia against Nigerians and Zimbabweans specifically, right? It's very rare for you guys to hear it against, let's say, Botswana, Lesotho, I don't know, a Ghana, a Kenya, what. And people, I feel like the real conversation which needs to happen here is the reason behind why South Africans are like this. And the reason it's like this is because I feel like something which is not spoken about is the behavior of Nigerians in South Africa. And I don't want to generalize things. Yes, and it's a real conversation which I feel like needs to happen because it's something which South Africans have like spoken about and cried out about. Yes, it's not all Nigerians, but it gets to a point where it's a certain amount or a certain number that people now begin to like generalize it. So people always speak about an issue of drugs. And when you speak about this issue of drugs, it's like, no, it's not us. And if you can Google now South Africa and look at the drug issue, I'm telling you, it's 90% people from Nigeria. And I'm not saying Nigerians are drug issue. Yeah, the drug issue.
Okay.
And then another thing is this issue of things like identity theft, things like prostitution. Yes, it's not only Nigerians, but if you look at 70, and these are literal stats, 70% is Nigerian. You know? Then if you also look at people from Zimbabwe, they are known for carjacking, all of these types of things. I've also personally been carjacked by Zimbabwe, you know, which doesn't it doesn't justify the hate, right? But it I don't know, but I feel like it got to a point where it's overwhelming and it boils over to these types of acts. It's not right, yes, but that's what tends to happen in these types of situations. Then another issue is a lot of African migrants migrated to South Africa, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But what they don't take into because during apartheid, South Africans were not allowed to go to school, right? When you went to school, we were taught something called Bantu education. And Bantu education was basically we were taught things like needlework and all of those types of things. So I never afforded opportunities to go to school. So now when democracy happens, there are opportunities in the job sector that we're not able to access. So let's say things like engineering and all of those things. So we were the first generation of Black people who could access those things, right? Now, our issue is when we speak about these people like taking our jobs is Nigerians in their country are afforded education. So the minute those opportunities were available in the 90s, they saturated and they took everything, right? So now we, as the first generation of South Africans which have education, now when we want to go into those sectors, we can't because they're already saturated by migrants, you know? So then that's where the issue of these people are taking our jobs, because people look at it as we fought for these opportunities, but now that we afforded these opportunities, we cannot get them, while people from other countries ran at the opportunities which were at hand. Then in terms of other things which South Africans thought about, in South Africa we have a minimum wage, right? So countries or companies tend to not want to pay the minimum wage. So illegal migrants tend to flock to South Africa, work these jobs below the minimum wage. Yeah, because they're illegal, obviously you don't have to pay them. So now South Africans are not hired for those jobs as well, which is not a hit on the migrants. It should be a hit at business. But when you're a person on the ground who's impoverished, you won't be looking at someone in the company. Yes, common sense says look at someone in the company, but a mind of someone who's impoverished, we are looking at, who's this person taking this opportunity away from me? And when you look, it's someone, let's say it's someone from Zimbabwe, because South Africa has over like 15 million migrants that are legal, and I think it's double if you include the ones that are illegal. So I feel like, because people forget that apartheid ended only 8 years ago, right? That's what people don't consider. So we still have our fight. So I feel like the way that guy explains, like, okay, now we're buddy with white people, now it's all good, or. Yes, on the face value it is, right? We had 15 years of reconciliation and all of that, but that's not the reality of the situation on the ground.
So, you see, from people like, obviously, like, you live over there, innit? Yeah. Can you understand where people like Iman's coming from the outside looking in, where it's a bit confusing that you would have more disdain for your Black African brother, whether they're South African or not, like Nigerian, Zimbabwe or whatever? You look at them with more disdain than you do the white people that came over and oppressed and colonized the place and stuff like that. Can you understand where they're coming from, where they think that's weird that you'd have more disdain towards a Nigerian than a white South African?
Yeah, I do understand when you look at it from the outside, but people should think of it like from the ground. Don't think about from a place in which you're looking at from like an educated perspective, or you're looking at the history, or you're looking at the past. Think of it as someone who's on the ground. It's someone who's improvised, someone who's hanging. When you can't be thinking about 1994, you're going to be thinking about who's, like, when you're on a hungry stomach now, when you're in a position of poverty now, you won't be thinking of 1994. You're going to think of who's your issue now. And when you look at people who attend to the issues, who bring crime, not all of them, but in most cases, right? You find that 70% is people from illegal immigrants, people who bring crime, people who take opportunities because they are willing to be paid under the minimum wage, all of those things. You tend to shift your disdain towards white them. You see? So, yes, it shouldn't be like that, but that's how the human mind works, unfortunately. So that's why these types of things happen. So when you look at, let's say, white South Africans, yes, people do have issues with white South Africans. I know my mother, for example, hates white South Africans with a passion because her parents were arrested during apartheid. Her father was hanged fighting apartheid. She was also arrested. So it's not everyone. Especially the older generation, we find that people who are maybe more open to white people are the younger generation, or let's say the older generation. Even the older white people, they are the ones which are more racist, you could say, and they hate each other, older black and older white. You know, yes, we live together now, but that doesn't take away what happened in the past. So I feel like it's the younger generation. Because if you check the tweet, the hate which was happening was mostly on Twitter. Nothing happened on the ground. And a young South African, which I spoke about, which does not have these opportunities, will not be thinking about what happened in apartheid. We're looking at what's happening on the ground and who's easy to attack. It's the illegal immigrant. You know? But and that's why I don't want to I saw people saying now it's Afrophobia, now it's making like we hate Africans. It's two people to be specific, Nigerians and Zimbabwe. You'll never see us having an issue with Botswana or what. And I feel like the real conversation should be how these people conduct themselves here. You know, because we are a very loving nation. We love people, we love Africans. I remember when apartheid ended, the first thing Mandela says Africans should come here in their numbers, like with all of these things. But it only gets to a certain point where these things boil over, especially the mind of an impoverished person. You know, now you don't think with sense when you're hanging. It's do or die. So that's why these types of things happen. But I can understand from how you guys look at it in terms of, hey, these guys like white people. No, that's not the case. We still have issues with white people. There are confrontations, all of those things happen. Yes, most of the time it's good, it's reconciled, it's moved over, but it also gets to a boiling point where like we must deal with these people.
I'm not gonna lie, I think this is so interesting to hear. You know, like we do all this stuff, like obviously we always say black people ain't a monolith or whatever, yeah, but we move like we are and we spend like we treat each other like we're supposed to be the same. And that's why we get in all these arguments. This happens with the Americans, the transatlantic stuff. Now we're getting a different opinion from the South Africans and whatnot. But it's like everybody's lived experience is going to be different. You know what I'm trying to say? That we're all projecting and talking about how we think things are supposed to be and what we think's right and there. But this ain't our life. We're not over there. Like culturally, it's different. Like it's different for everybody. Yeah, so even hearing him say stuff like, and there's people like it might not sit right with us as people in the chat, like, but what's it got to do with us? We're not even over there. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? If the majority of people in South Africa have this opinion or can see what, even understand the mindset or see where my man's coming from, then it's like what you're saying about like taking paracetamol for other people's headaches and those kind of things. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? That we just have to be more mindful that everybody's different. You get me? Life's different everywhere. If you talk to the people, travel, go places, and actually see how people are living, you probably get more of an understanding of what's going on.
But you see, I hear what you're saying, but then it's almost like if you say that during the pro-Palestine Israel marches, everyone will tell you that you're ignorant. Everyone will say, an injustice here is an injustice everywhere. They want us to care when it's the Middle East. I want to care when it's home. You know what I'm saying? Even though South Africa is not my home, it's the home of my cousins. And so that's where I want to focus my care. And I'm being told, no, we're okay here. Why? When you yourself in South Africa have an issue with what's going on in Israel, it's happened 30 years ago in your same country. And like the caller just said, and like you just said, right, his parents and the older generation, they're not happy about it necessarily. It's the new generation that are more welcoming to it. Am I correct? So
yeah.
Sorry, let me go move the car for you.
Yes, yeah. So I don't know, man. You yourself though.
Yeah, but
sorry, go on.
Can I ask something? Sorry. In terms of when you're saying like you see an issue, what's the issue exactly that you see?
The issue that I see is more so that there was a point in time, not too long ago, where people came and said, black people, indigenous people to South Africa are inferior intellectually. You're inferior religiously. You're inferior in every way, shape, form, or fashion, except physically. And then, because you have the physical superiority, we will take cheap labor. We'll kill you. We'll rape your women. We'll take the land. We'll create a system where you have no voice. There's only 10% of us there. Been there for 300 years. The world don't give a damn. The world only cared when the multinational companies got involved and said, guys, you're messing the money up. Thatcher, Reagan, think correctly. Let's stop this apartheid regime. Nothing happened when Mandela, respectfully, was doing the whole peaceful stuff. When the ANC said, no, we need to bring in the arms, that's when things started to change, right? When he's come out of prison and they wanted him to comply, just to shut down everything and bring about peace, they had conditions for him. And I'm not saying necessarily that those conditions were bad for him to follow. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it just doesn't sit well with me when you bring this man out of prison and things don't necessarily change. Yes, we may have a voice, right? Because obviously he's party winner to win in the elections. But when it comes to the redistribution of wealth, when it comes to making right the economics so that the black indigenous people who have suffered an injustice for hundreds of years can start to benefit and better themselves, when that is not a focus, I have an issue. When 90+% of the country's wealth is controlled by the 10%, the majority of which will be the white people, I still have an issue. And then when our cousins from Nigeria, Mozambique, different places come to the country because they think, cool, I want a better life too, we have an issue with them alone. Why? You know what I'm saying? And this is why I feel like it's selective. It's selective. If you want to have an issue with any foreigner that's coming to exploit your land, I'm for it. I understand. But when the foreigner looks like you and you have the biggest energy, you come out, I know it wasn't everybody, but you come out with your cutlasses and want to kill people. And I get it. I do get it. A lot of it was for people, I guess, who were bringing in drugs into the country. And you know what I mean? I know it wasn't those who were necessarily benefiting the economy in the most positive ways. But the xenophobia went like widespread. Innocent Nigerians were being killed. You know what I'm saying? And this energy wasn't there for the people who had oppressed us. And in my opinion, in a roundabout way, he's still oppressing us. Because if you don't own anything, again, I know I'm speaking generally here, but if you don't own the wealth of the country, control the wealth of the country, what do you really have? And that's your own home. So I know I'm definitely over generalizing here. I'm kind of, oversimplifying things, but it just doesn't sit well with me. I know peace and unity is a better solution, but I feel like it should be on the terms of the black indigenous South Africans. That's what I think. It should be what they want.
Yeah, and that's a good thing which you said. I like the point which you pointed out in terms of how things with Mandela happened and what. And it's still a topic which is had today. But I feel like at that time, that was the best solution for the country because the country was on brink of civil war, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's why you find that a lot of South Africans overseas right now, white South Africans are running their millions thinking that black South Africans are going to kill us, what. And that's why a lot of white South Africans are saying we should be happy that black South Africans wanted, what's this, reconciliation or what, one stand of revenge. And there's still people who feel like we should have done that, should have killed white people, should have whatever.
Yeah.
But I personally, I wouldn't say I agree with the way things happen or the deals which are made. It's still a topic which is discussed today. But what Mandela did say, I need to continue, right? And what that message means, like the struggle continues.
Yeah.
And if you look now, especially which is the message driven by your EFFs, by Julius Malema, by ANCs, is that we want economic freedom, right?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Because that's if you look at that is the message which has been driven now, right? That's the struggle we are fighting now.
Yeah.
It's economic freedom. That's why now you spoke about the issue of the land. That's why we have a policy called land what is it? Land without compensation, meaning that land is, as we're speaking now, land is being taken from the whites and is being distributed. There are all these policies, and our fight now is economic freedom. And the president spoke out about this with the youth, told him that because the youth now is the one fighting this. This is what we are leading. And it was that he must speed it up, because if it does not speed up, there'll be an unled revolution in this country. So it's not a topic we are not looking at. It's not like we're not fighting white people. Yes, just because we're not going out in the streets and killing and what.
Yeah.
It does not mean it's not anything we're fighting. We are fighting it. We are taking the land back.
Yeah.
There are policies put in place to take the land back and fight for the economy. But it is a fight that's happening. It's not like something now we're comfortable with. Why do these guys have the world? It's something we are fighting. So I don't want it to make it seem. That's why I emphasize that it's not like, yes, we are living in unity with these people, but deep down, if everyone's to be honest with themselves, that's not the case. There's still people living with hatred. There are still people who don't mix well with one another, because we recognize the injustice which happened. And that's the redistribution of the wealth, right? But that will not be. But what I love what South Africa did was, what I commend Mandela for was, he did not just do it abruptly, and he acknowledged it. Because if you look at how Zimbabwe are taking things back now, which collapsed everything. Right?
But you have to remember.
So I like how
the sanctions. The sanctions were there that made it half of Zimbabwe. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
that's the same thing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everyone they gave the land to were actually trained and you know what I mean, like proficient in those areas. But it wasn't solely because they took it back. It was because there was also external sanctions. You know what I mean? Which made it hard for them.
And the reasons they imposed those sanctions on them was because they took it back. So we looked at the situation in Zimbabwe and realized if we did the exact same thing, then, because you need to realize that in those negotiations, that's why people said, that's what other countries said. They said, listen, Mandela, if you do what happened in Zimbabwe, go around killing and taking, then sanctions will be imposed on you now, right?
But you also have to remember that the British and the Americans agreed to Zimbabweans taking the land back. Remember, they were paid. Remember the Lancaster House Agreement. So it was them who reneged on the deal, which made it hard. So it's almost as though the Brits and Americans knew this is the right thing to be doing anyway. But when they reneged on the deal and they stopped giving the money to Zimbabwe to buy back the land, this is also what caused the issues. You know what I mean? So it's don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying, but I just wanted to add a bit more of the detail,
the context behind it. Yeah, I don't know too much of what happened, but I feel like yes, the way it got about it, or the freedom, or what in terms of economically, is going about slow. But there are signs that we are seeing. South Africa is being empowered. We actually have these black empowerment programs, which are aimed at at fixing what happened. But South Africa is also a complicated thing that people don't understand. Because it's not just black. You have your colored people. Not just your colored people as well. You have your Indians. Because what people don't know is, unlike, let's say, in America, in which black people were taken and when they're slaves, people of South Africa fought. The blacks in South Africa fought and we're enslaved, but we're not really enslaved by the definition of enslaved. So what the British did, they went and took Indians from India, and they became slaves in South Africa and worked on sugarcane plantation. So you'll find that South Africa has millions of Indians here. So now, when we fix, are we supposed to? So it's a very complicated. What about the Indians which were here, which were slaves? So it's a very complicated thing, but there are programs being put in place to like fix those. But I do agree with you that the hate shouldn't be put on people who came here also in seek of a better life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I always say you should think of it in the mind of someone that's hungry. If you're hungry right now, you won't be thinking logically.
That's true.
When you're looking at your problem now, so think of it from the perspective of someone that's hungry, someone that's struggling now.
I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate everything that you said, man. We do have to wrap up the show, yeah. But again, thank you so much for calling. Really appreciate your perspective and the perspective of the other South Africans that called earlier as well. But yeah, man, thanks again. Yeah?
Okay. No, thanks. I appreciate it.
Stay tuned in. Stay tuned in.
Definitely.
All right, good one.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Brent, let's go into our wrap up.
All right.
All right, people, thank you for tuning in once again. I think it was another good show. Big up all our callers, man. Everyone that called in today is from the beautiful country of South Africa. It was beautiful to hear from the Black South Africans and hear their perspective. Again, we may not agree on every single thing, but I'm glad that there's an understanding, you know what I'm saying? And these conversations are necessary.
Always.
So, yeah, man, appreciate it. Yeah, I think we can just wrap it up there, man. Also, I did want to say, for those who are interested in the tour on Saturday, there are a few tickets left. If you are interested, let me know. Message me or the TDA Instagram or in the Discord. Just say you're interested. We know. We'll send you the link. I think the link is even out in the Discord anyway. So get your tickets. There's a few left. And yeah, man. Thanks again, man. Have a blessed day, people. Take care. Peace.